I've managed to just construct over the day one chart that is my kind of summary of the day, and it's got 6 points in it. And the first point is an optimistic mindset matters. And it was quite nice at the end that Nigel reinforced that point from his standpoint of a very, very progressive organisation. It's a very tech-driven organisation. Luckily, he also sees, an optimistic view. And as Naga said, Lorna talked about the optimism muscle. And I certainly, I'm going to be flexing my optimism muscle even more. And I think Steve Hiscox reinforced that when he talked about the power of marketing to change businesses. If indeed you find the bridge, was the point that he made. Find the bridge internally with finance. Find the bridge with underwriters. Find a way of creating that right language so that you can be optimistic. Which, of course, brings us very much onto our second point, that culture really matters in marketing. And Fran and Libby's new extensive research tells us how effectiveness is becoming a hotter topic every day. But the language of short-termism and quarterly reporting, CapEx, siloism, in terms of financial, away from finance and their metrics, does actually undermine this cause. And we heard from the Reverend Coles from his sort of personal experience of cultural, personal change, and the panel of Martin and Matt and Kate partly agreed with the sense of that you can very much, by embracing the right culture and using the right language and the right behaviours, you really can change that thinking. And so, culture absolutely really matters in the way you market internally, the way you create those bridges, and you find ways of creating a unity that's going to drive effectiveness forward. The next area was creating cross-platform brand fluency matters in managing marketing. A bit of a mouthful there, but fantastic kickoff from Mr. Lucas from Little Britain, who's created a lot of fluent devices in his years and his catchphrases. Orlando's extensive research again reinforced neuroscience-based research around the importance of fluent devices, emotionally driven devices. Charles with meerkats and Margaret with penguins, and Anastasia's work reinforces as well. So strong, emotive, multi-platform, creative characters definitely seem to be one mechanism, and a very powerful mechanism to drive effectiveness. So that's one of the other takeaways that I took from today. Defining the right metrics matters in measuring marketing. There's a deluge these days, obviously digital kind of fire hose of data, big data. It's a kind of nightmare. And I was really excited by Swarm AI as well, even more data. But I think that, one of the points that I think John made is he said, define your KPIs first, have the fortitude, the journey, and the ecosystem to understand what is your landscape, so you can navigate your way through that in terms of what your metrics are that matter, and don't get blinded by it. So define the right metrics that matter was the other takeaway I had. Then putting effectiveness into the right context matters. We just heard the godfathers, or should I say the modfathers, of marketing effectiveness, Les and Pete. And they've given us another amazing toolkit today. And as Peter said earlier on, it is £25, fantastic deal coming up to buy that book. And 60-40 still broadly applies, which is good, and brand building works, and it helps justify a price premium, and it's become more important than ever, which is wonderful. But as they both said, you've got to put it into context. And if activation is easy, then spend your money more in brand, and vice versa. And financial services spend more on brands, and non-for-profit probably a bit less. So some really, but the key is get the right balance, and get the right balance about putting effectiveness into context. And then lastly, I think a lot of what Nigel talked about is very much the future. I think it's very important the way he talked about agencies going through a transformation, look at the big picture. But I think the good news is for our industry and for everything we're talking about today and about brands is that creativity still seems to matter in this tech-driven, AI, Internet of Things kind of driven world. But I think the point that Nigel made is that it's broader than telling a story. It's very much about an experience, about what you do is as important as what you say. It's more than creatives, it's creativity, the big C in its broader sense. and tech platforms allow you to be more creative and do more stuff. So that's good news because it means that we can come back next year because it means creativity still matters and effectiveness still matters. So that's good. So they're my kind of top 6 takeaways from today. I'm sure that I've missed out loads of stuff. I haven't name-checked loads of things. There's probably millions of sound bites and tweets that I haven't covered, but for me, they were the things that particularly resonated. I certainly feel my sort of toolkit's got a lot bigger. And certainly we at the IPA and EffWeek is going to continue. You know, we very much say this is a body of evidence. It's a journey that we're on. We're going to constantly build that over the next few years and demonstrate rather than justify marketing effectiveness. Now, obviously you thought you were going to be able to get away right away, but unfortunately I've got to tell you about a couple of things coming up. First of all, the week very much has just begun. We have lots of EffWeek events coming up. And it's all at the effworks.co.uk site. We have loads of satellite events going on. We have events going on tomorrow with our partners like Facebook, on Thursday with our agency champions, MediaCom, McCann's, various other agencies, IPM Friday with a deep dive. We've got our Think Box event next week. We've got an event with the ISBAR coming up on the 31st, and then Janet's going to New York to take very much a lot of our work out there as well. So full details, but this is very much this is the beginning of the week. But like every aspect of EffWeek, it's all about driving over the next few years and driving everything forward. This very much is a movement. It's not an event. So to help you on your way, we have first of all John and Gaines Theory's measurement strategy white paper, which is available for you as you're going out, I think. Catherine, is that right? Yes, fantastic. As Peter said earlier on, and I've said a couple of times now, for £25, fantastically discounted, his Effectiveness in Context, Les and Pete's book, is available again on the way out. And then, of course, the EffWeek website I've mentioned a couple of times, wonderful Aladdin's Cave of fantastic, snackable, evolving resources is available to you. And lastly, there are 3 initiatives that I want to just flag that are coming up. First of all, we are launching today FAQs. FAQs is a resource that is being developed in conjunction with WARC. You might remember earlier on we talked about our advisory board. Many, I'm glad to say, are in the room today, and we essentially curated a series of questions that everyone was interested in about what the key questions are you ask about marketing, what's the balance between long and short term, for example, which has been talked about a lot today. So these questions are basically on the website, and the answers to those questions, which is a fantastic resource through WARC, is available when you go onto our site. So that's the first thing I want to talk to you about. The second thing is the EffWeek consultancy. And the EffWeek consultancy is a completely new concept. What it means is you can bottle literally John, Fran, Libby, Orlando, Les and Pete, and they can basically, as your consultants, come to your businesses, come to your agencies, and essentially impart a lot of the knowledge that you've seen today on stage, but go into more detail that's relevant to your businesses. So that's something that we're launching, and Janet at the IPA is the contact there to talk to about that service. And the last service that is being launched again today is F Essentials. It's basically a new training module, a 10-hour qualification that's going to be a key part of CPD at the IPA. It's a completely new entry-level qualification. And indeed, the IPA professional development team have got a stand downstairs, so they can tell you more about that, and you can win 20% off, actually, the F-test by passing an EffWeek quiz. But that is another initiative that we're developing on the back of today. So Indra at the IPA is the contact there. So lots going on, all very exciting. I hope to see lots of you this evening in the IPA Effectiveness Awards. We'll find out on that video at the very beginning there what's going to get bronze, what's going to get silver, what's going to get gold. Very exciting. ITV's Carolyn McCall, as I said, is the president, and Neil Gopper is here today, is our awards convener. A massive thanks to everyone who's been involved in this. I talked about the partners before, the advisory board, the insight gurus, the global industry partners, our wonderful speakers, our panelists, the brilliant Naga, of course, keeping us under control, and Janet and Catherine and everyone at the IPA for a fantastic day, and importantly, you for all turning up and taking out your day. Thank you very much. Give yourself a round of applause. Thank you.